wanted to have this conversation because it came up with a friend recently who was with a girl for together, I think 4 or 5 years, and things were bad for the last two, like really bad that all of us could
Yeah,
really see it. We really felt for him because he really loved the girl, but there was this dynamic that was really seemed unsolvable.
yeah,
And thankfully he was able to end it now, but before that, he was saying, I remember saying to me, he goes, I think deciding when to leave a relationship can be one of the most difficult decisions a human
totally.
can make. And it was such a bold statement that I know it came from a place of hurt from him, but it's
Yeah.
something I've really thought about. And I think he's probably more right than wrong, because
Oh my
the
gosh, of
things that we've
course.
covered today just go in so many different directions. And like, to get into the more extreme levels, have you read the book It Ends With Us?
I haven't, but I know it's all over right now.
Yeah, I went and saw the movie last night because I
Mm.
saw it on socials and I thought it'd be interesting to watch. And even that concept that, like, let's say you're with someone and there's abuse in the relationship. Let's not talk specifically about, but that maybe it's emotional, physical, or whatever.
Mm.
But then you end up having a child with that person, and then you have to think of, and I'm talking about this from both directions, from the
Mhm.
male or female perspective. And you're like, well, but now I don't want to be the person that breaks up this family, even though you're a victim of abuse and shouldn't be. Like, even that is such a heavy, heavy layer
Totally.
on top of this question that, like, I don't know. I really like to think that it's important for us to have friends in these scenarios.
Yes.
I think the more isolated we are, the more lonely, no, isolated is more, the more isolated we are, I think the less likely we are to make decisions for ourselves in times like that, because you
Totally.
have nowhere else to turn.
Yeah. The challenge with that is, in abusive relationships, generally, there is either conscious or unconscious desire to isolate from, the abusive partner, because ultimately that's how they will have more control over their partner, right? So, as much as, again, people are, oh, why don't they just leave? Why don't they just leave? But usually a person, has been put into a position where they have to depend on their partner, whether it's financially or emotionally, or yes, they share a child together or whatever it is. So,
Mm,
yeah, that's actually one of my, in my sort of like random list of all the kind of things to look toward, to know when to end a relationship. One of them is like when you feel like you've lost friends and family, or lost touch, or you've kind of like lost yourself and you're sort of living for this other person or just doing what they say, and you're not really maintaining that sense of self and your own life. And I think
right.
it's so important, even though it is really sort of seductive and easy to fall into just becoming so enmeshed in relationship, especially in the beginning, and just like living for each other. I think it's so important to maintain one's kind of own work, for example, and separate friends, and even travel by yourself at times. And, don't go
Right.
to every single, trip or whatever that your partner's going on. Like it can be really important to just kind of maintain that sense of independence. So you can always come home to yourself and check in and be like, how am I doing? And so that you can trust that, like, you have a life to go to if you do need to leave, because that's another reason a lot of people don't really leave relationships, is because they fear the loneliness, or the shame or the guilt, if they're afraid of, okay, I don't want to break this person's heart. Like, there are a lot of really, all of our behavior is motivated by avoiding uncomfortable emotions or seeking pleasurable ones. Like, we're really simple as human beings. We seek pleasure, we avoid pain. It's evolutionary, it's kept us alive, but it's really just how we operate. And part of the work that I do as a therapist and coach is help people become more aware of that, so they can choose whether or not they want to react to that desire to, seek pleasure, avoid pain, or whether they want to choose something different. And so
Right.
in these situations, a lot of times people will stay in a relationship far beyond when they quote unquote should, or when they would really want to, if they didn't have to feel that uncomfortable emotion, because they're afraid of the guilt, they're afraid of the loneliness, they're afraid of the anxiety, they're afraid of the shame. And so when
Right.
we can maintain our own life, and again, that still means that we're interdependent, we're still, like perhaps living with our partner and, building a life together, but still kind of coming home to yourself and having those things you do by yourself, go for the walk, go to a class, go work somewhere at the co-working space, whatever it is, travel with your own friends, like, or by yourself, then that allows us to kind of just check in and make sure that we're being honest with ourselves, and have a life that we still love and can trust that we'll be okay on our own and can leave if we want and need to.